Hi, Bill here with another edition of Metal Minutes. Today is Wednesday, November 18th, and we've got continuing stories going on affecting the metals. And so let's get started. Of course, something on everyone's mind is the election. Unfortunately, we will not know for at least another couple of weeks. We will have some indicators later today. There are deadlines in the Wisconsin election that they have to ask for the recount officially by today, by this afternoon. So we'll see if the $8 million will be ponied up to do the recount, which is 4 times more than it was in 2016, incidentally. So that's interesting. But that has to happen. There also is something called the safe harbor deadline, which is by December 8th, the individual states want to know how their electors are going to vote in the Electoral College, or at least have a good idea. So we've got at least a couple weeks before that happens, and then after that, it will be January 6th before we actually know, before it's officially announced, will be January 6th. What has to happen before that is on January 3rd, the new Congress is installed into office. And they actually read those votes and tally them. And so that's also interesting, because it's not certain about all the congressmen and congresswomen who will be finalized and elected. So there's a lot up in the air there. Hopefully we'll know. Starting today, this afternoon, we'll have a little bit more direction. But keep in mind, there were approximately 1,400 attorneys between the two sides, about 700 apiece, that were hired for the recount effort. And there was a pool of money a couple weeks ago. It was $55 million. So we can expect that those funds will be spent, and it may take a couple weeks for that to happen. But that's about $40,000 apiece, and that's not how it will be distributed. Some may earn $10,000 for their time in the recount, and others will earn much more than that. But there is money there, and there's a recount effort, and we can expect that to take the full length of time. There are other indicators. We talked about vaccines. There's been another vaccine announced since last week. Incidentally, each time it's announced, the CEO of both companies have sold a considerable amount of their stock, indicating that they feel like the pop from the announcement is maybe worth more to them than whatever the results of the vaccine will do for the company. So that's interesting, but also telling. There are troublesome times in the economy, even in China. China is saying that they believe it's the worst recession worldwide since the Great Depression. And certainly from their point of view, they're having some issues with income and bankrupt businesses and whatnot. Not that we're not having those same issues here in the United States, but we've so far been able to paper over many of them. The Federal Reserve has been involved in buying things they've never bought before, such as corporate bonds, including junk bonds, ETFs, throwing everything but the kitchen sink. And we'll have an article coming out soon, later this week, that discusses how much currency has been created. And it's just alarming how much already this year, and there's trillions yet to go. And so there are many things conflicting with the markets. Let's talk about the numbers. From last week, mostly flat. Gold was flat, trending down. When I say flat, less than 0.5% difference. Silver has trended flat over the last week. Palladium was flat, but it's just a little bit higher. Platinum was actually up. Last week we talked about platinum being the best value of the 4 metals, and this week it's actually somebody took advantage of that, because platinum in the last week is up almost 5.5%. Now we think it's seen the run it's going to see for a little while, and that brings it from a negative in a 1 year standpoint up to a positive 4.3% for 1 year. But I think the short-term buying is likely ended, and we may see it drift a little bit lower from a technical standpoint going forward for the next week or so. Now the other metals are still up for a 1 year. Gold's up 27%, silver's up 43%, palladium's up 35% for a 1 year, and again platinum up 4.3%. Still more value there. The question is, will the economic conditions allow platinum and palladium to participate? Hopefully so. Time will tell. I believe the trend will be flat again for the coming week for gold and silver. However, going forward, I think that we have some very good conditions for both gold and silver. Even more so for silver. We see a lot of pressure to move electric, and for automobiles and many other things, solar power, alternative energy. Not that we're going to see carbon fuels go away entirely. I don't think we ever will, but there is a huge push for the electric, and I think silver is in a position, even though it's had a great 1 year run, it's still off of its highs by 60%. So there's a lot of room there for silver. Gold is also in a good position, and I expect to see a good move between now and the end of the year. Although the next week or two it may be just similar action to what we've had this last week. Not a lot of movement. There's so many conflicting things, but keep your seat belt buckled. It's a good time to get in if you haven't been, because I believe both of those are going higher, and still some good value in platinum. Hey, thanks a lot, and be safe, be careful, and have a good holiday coming up. God bless.